to share my insight with you on whether or not entering into the medical field is something that actually seems right for your life. I hear people talk about all the time, oh, I've always wanted to be a nurse. Why? Why have you always wanted to be a nurse? Why is that your dream job? Usually, when people say that, it's because they've had an experience with a nurse that really touched their life, that really made a difference for them, and that's incredible. That's amazing. That is what nursing is known for, right? When nursing is good, when you have a good nurse, it literally makes or breaks your care experience, which is a good thing to point out. Realize that it is due to individual choices of individual nurses. However, before entering that field, I would caution I would caution you a little bit, and I also would advise that you think about these few things before you make that decision. First of all, I want you to think about the cost of your education versus the return on that investment, because an education is an investment. Banks own education and the government owns education. So I think everyone needs to realize that more fully. The only one making money off of your student loans is lenders and the government. Okay? So you will never make money off of your education. You make money off of your knowledge, off of your business prowess, and off of your skill set. However, the educational aspect of which university, college, tech school you choose, that is so key. I am a huge proponent. I am in my third higher education program at this point. I'm in nurse practitioner school. So having gone to two larger universities and now a smaller university, I 100% would recommend community colleges, tech schools, trade schools, certifications, licensing, doing those things before I would ever recommend a large university. I don't care what the name is. I don't care what the reputation is, unless you want to have MIT or an Ivy League college on your resume because it matters for the exact firm or corporation that you want to be a part of. And if you think you want to be a part of it, I bet you actually don't, because I bet it's actually not going to be that great of a lifestyle. I really would recommend smaller schools, colleges, and trade programs. As far as nursing goes, smaller schools, cheaper tuition, absolutely, because what you're going to make as a nurse is typically not what you think you're going to make as a nurse. And that comes down to where you are working, location-wise in the country or abroad, like where you live compared to the cost of living of where that is. So, for example, I could work as a travel nurse and make bank going to California, but also paying to live in California is a higher cost of living, and so it balances out and still is not a very great income for affordability of lifestyle, right? So think about the cost of your education and then the return on that. Autonomy is a huge thing that I've found with nursing. You are not very autonomous as a nurse. It can be very frustrating to be dealing with, and I'm not talking about like the dynamic between doctors, the prescribers, and the caregivers, the care techs and the nurses. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the respect for nurses in a healthcare corporation versus the respect for everyone else in a healthcare corporation, and the autonomy to influence the culture, the politics, the finances, and just the practices in general. You do not get very much autonomy, say, or governance as a nurse. You are there to implement and get the patients through. You are there to monitor, and you really are the safety net, and you are that compassionate bedside caregiver which is incredible about nursing. That's the aspect of nursing that I love. But just know that your autonomy as a nurse to influence change is very low. And I have seen multiple nurses, and I have been one of these nurses that has been willing to take a step forward and try to advance change. And it typically is met with a lot of backlash, a lot of heat, and in some cases, some disciplinary actions and threats, simply for trying to improve patient outcomes, create a better work environment, improve safety, have more evidence-based practices, and because it's not what administration is going for, it is met with a lot of animosity, which is very different than if a mid-level provider or if a physician tries to vocalize the same concerns. So, think about that. Think about if you want to travel or not. If you want to be in one place and have a steady income in one place, nursing is typically not going to pay the bills on its own. It's a 2-income job. As far as being able to buy a home, have functioning automobiles, pay for extracurricular activities for your kids, have the quality of food and insurance, and being able to take a family vacation every now and again, one nursing income is not going to do it. It's not. So where I encourage people to start thinking about their nursing career or their healthcare career overall is think about your lifestyle and what you actually want to have your everyday look like. If you want to be able to have a nice home, some reasonable cars, afford the types of food that you want, be able to have a gym membership, go on a vacation once or twice a year, just like regular vacations. I'm talking like not expensive vacations. Be able to invest and, put money towards medical expenses, saving for kids' college, saving for, investments, for assets, maybe upgrading your home someday, investing into your 401k, just like the basics of the quote unquote American dream, which phrase and terminology was again invented by banks. So that they could make money off of lending money. But really be thoughtful about the lifestyle that you want. And if you want to always work full-time, what your counterpart, significant other, or other income streams are like. If you're planning on nursing being your sole source of income, it's not typically going to provide you the life that you want. So some things to think about are if you're like in a care tech, CNA, tech role somewhere in that realm and you're thinking, I want to advance my career into medicine, my piece of advice is to actually look into becoming a surge tech. So you're the one assisting the surgeon during his operations. I am a huge proponent for that lane of healthcare. In fact, there's some days which now I don't want this because of what I'm going into with nurse practitioner and everything that I'm accomplishing that way. It's totally fine, but I wish I would have done surge tech. You can make such a better income to provide your lifestyle, and you're involved in a high acuity of care, right? Like during surgery, your patient is under anesthesia. Everything has to be perfect. Everything is aseptic. You're working with other trained professionals that are very developed and they have a high skill set. And you are very sought after. Surge techs are always needed. And I think it's one of those under promoted levels of healthcare that is really valuable and highly valued. So I would definitely look into becoming a surge tech. Also, anything in laboratory development, laboratory research and innovation, and medical device research, implementation, testing, anything that is in that kind of healthcare. You're also usually going to have a little bit higher income and a little more autonomy, better vacation, and just like quality of living. The burnout isn't as high, which is extremely high in nursing. Okay. Also, if you have any kind of degree in anything in the healthcare field and you've got a bachelor's degree and you think you want to advance to more of a provider role, I would not push you towards nursing. I would encourage you to go towards a physician's assistant or something of that nature, as where you're a higher level to a mid-level without having to go through nursing. I did have a degree. I had a bachelor's degree. I had done a lot of medical area prerequisites, and then I went into nursing as a second bachelor's degree, and now I'm doing my nurse practitioner. I thought for like maybe a couple weeks after I had started thinking about going into the medical field after my first degree about PA school. And part of me wishes that I would have just made that move and done it, but I didn't, so I don't let myself regret it. I've taken the path that I've taken, and it's going to be amazing, but I want to then turn around and help the next person make more informed choices that I didn't have anyone tell me. No, I didn't have this resource. So, those are my tips for you to think about today. Comment below with your questions so that I know what to address in future videos. I want to help my brothers and sisters in the medical field make good, informed decisions for your life, for your family, for your situation. I also would definitely recommend that anyone who is going into healthcare also become educated business-wise. Adopt an entrepreneurial mindset, find a mentor, look at businesses that are working, go to networking events in your area, and start networking into the business side of medicine so that you can run a quality practice. You can be a part of elevating the quality of the practice. And if you are a nurse and you're going into healthcare and you are just set on nursing, that's fantastic. I do think that nurses need a higher return on their investment. I don't make these videos to talk anyone out of nursing, but rather I want people to be informed in their healthcare professional choices. And I think that as the burnout level of nursing, because they're so overworked, so underappreciated typically, because of that dynamic, I think something really has to hit the fan to make administration and big medicine and big pharma and insurance in general realize the value of nurses as a caregiver and start to compensate them more for that. However, with the way that our medical industry is going in our country, I don't see that happening anytime soon. I hope it does, but I am here to do my part and encourage you all to have well-rounded practices and not be overwhelmed by your profession. I hope this is helpful. Let me know what you think and what else I can address, what questions you have. I'm happy to give more advice and insight.